Alright, let's talk about Elend from the Mistborn trilogy. But before you watch this, know that there will be big spoilers for Mistborn Era 1 because I'm going to talk about him in the first 3 books. Elend is a lord's son. He is the heir to his house. Someday, he is supposed to lead the Venture family and take care of all the things that his family does for the Empire. And his father doesn't really trust him to lead, and for good reason, because Elend wants to prove how much he doesn't care about the things that a young noble at his age should care about. He shows disdain for his position, and really, he's a slacker. You're a slacker, McFly. And in book 1, even though he wants to prove that he doesn't care about his position and what he's expected to do, in some ways he still acts like a spoiled noble. Not that he really acts selfish and self-centered so much, at least not obviously, but he does expect to be able to do what he wants without big consequences. He wants to be able to skip out on parties and read books if he wants to. And at this point in his life, he's never really had to care deeply about anything. He's never had to devote his passion to accomplishing anything. In some ways, Kelsier is right about him when he talks about Elend to Vin. Elend is a dreamer. He has these ideas to change the world, but without any real gumption or any real ability to actually do it. The lords like to talk, but they never actually like to help us in real life. Vin still believes in him, though. Speaking of Vin is kind of the turning point for Elend. He is this kind of spoiled lord boy who doesn't care about anything, kind of a slacker, and he's at this ball, skipping out on the dancing, and he sees a girl. He sees the girl that is different. The girl who kind of makes him want to change, who makes him want to care about things. They have good, deep conversations. Conversations that he's not used to having with people. Sometimes with his buddies that he meets with and talks about things with. But this is the first time he's had a conversation with somebody who might actually care about the things he does and really want to do something about it. And in book 1, Elend just isn't as big of a character and not as important to the plot as he is in the next couple of books. But I love towards the end when he thinks that Vin is in danger, and you can just see how big his courage is. His courage is bigger than his ability. When he goes off to save her, he's not going to be able to fight Steel Inquisitors, but that doesn't stop him. He goes to save her anyway. She has awakened his passion and his courage, and he is not going to see her in danger. He is going to go after her. When he goes to save her, he doesn't really understand what he's going up against, but even if he did, I don't think that would have stopped him. Oh, and something else I kind of like, Brandon Sanderson is pretty good at writing unsexist characters, unless their character is supposed to act that way. But when Elend finds out that Vin is a Mistborn, he's not threatened by it. Instead of feeling threatened by her, he feels proud of her. And I think that's such a great attitude to have. In book 2, The Well of Ascension is where Elend gets the most character development. He has the most growth as a person. He's kind of thrust into the position of leadership willingly. It's what he wanted, but he's not really ready. Remember how he wasn't ready to take over House Venture as the heir, and now he's trying to lead this empire? He slacked off for so long and didn't bother trying to be the man who could lead for so long that now he doesn't really know how to do it. He was the idea man, the guy who came up with plans and ideas. He wasn't supposed to be the one who was actually in charge. And at another time, he probably would have done just fine in this new position of leadership. He's an idealist. It's a time of war. This isn't really the right time for someone like Elend to be in charge. He doesn't know how to just grab people and say, this is what we're doing. He's not like Dalinar, who grabbed King Elhokar and was like, we're gonna do this. But as he's struggling with leading his new empire and trying to be the kind of person who commands respect, because he's not that person yet. People respect the person he is, but not necessarily as a leader. In comes Tindwyl. Just the person he needed at just the right time. I don't know about you, but sometimes in your life, that one person comes along who's just who you needed at that time, and it's like, how did they know you needed them? In this story, I think Tindwyl kind of knew that Elend needed him, and so she came along to his rescue to teach him to be the kind of man who can be a leader that people will listen to. I think her best piece of advice, maybe, is don't say, ever. Do not ever start a sentence with the word, As a teacher, I cannot tell you how many times a kid comes up to me and says, my name is not I also think Tindwyl's relationship with him is really encouraging and really realistic. It's encouraging because she knows he can learn what she's teaching him. He has it within him. He just has to practice. And it's realistic. I don't necessarily see that she is teaching him how to be a good leader because she really believes in him. She's not Vin. She is doing it because it's what he needs. Whether she believes in him or not, she is going to do her best to teach him, and she expects that he will do his best to learn. She's a great teacher. I could probably learn a lot from her. And as we go through book 2, he can definitely see that it seems like no one has faith in him, who really believes that he is the leader that everyone needs right now. Just Vin? And he really has no reason to believe that he is cut out for his job and that he should be the one who is in charge. He just knows that his ideas are good and they should work. And something I really love, and I talked about it a little bit in my Vin video, is how both Elend and Vin, both kind of in parallel to each other as we go between their point of views in this book, both struggle with insecurity so much, but they don't share those insecurities with each other. They're not really being good partners right now. They're both trying to do their own thing, and they're together, but they're both separately struggling with huge insecurity things. Elend is always feeling compared to Kelsier by those who are closest to him. The ones he's most closely working with were Kelsier's crew. Even Vin was part of that, and he knows he is not the man Kelsier was. He is not the martyr and the charismatic leader that Kelsier was, and he knows very well that he is not that kind of man. And he can feel that he is being compared to him, and that does not feel very great. And then there's the people that he's leading, and feeling kind of compared to the Lord Ruler. Elend is a good man. There is no doubt about that. He is the lawful good type of character. But when he's compared to the Lord Ruler, while not being a good person, brought stability. People knew what to expect under the Lord Ruler. And so though nobody liked him, they do kind of miss their stability, and some people resent Elend for that. More so in book 3, but he's starting to get a little feel of this already. And feeling like he's just not the right person for Vin. Which is not true. He is the one Vin needs, but he's not so sure about that. She is a powerful Mistborn. She's beautiful. She is capable in so many ways he is not. And he's worried that maybe they're not really the right people for each other. Good thing he was wrong. And he is so determined. He knows that he is not really cut out for the job that's been given him, but he's determined to succeed. He's determined to fulfill Tindwyl's expectations of him. He sees the importance of what she's teaching him, and as he kind of grows and learns, he's seeing that he is starting to command a little more respect, that it's working, and he is determined to beat his father. And that is a time where he really needs Vin. Elend and Vin's partnership, their relationship, is so necessary for both of them, especially in this instance of he has to go take down the one big powerful person in his life who was in charge of him, who never believed in him, and now he has to fight him and defeat him, and he needs Vin for that. Their partnership has to be tight for this to work, which it does. And I kind of think it's nice that Elend isn't the one who actually had to take down his father. It didn't have to happen by his own hand because his lovely Mistborn lady was able to take care of that for him. Book 2 ends so interestingly. Normally in a series like this, I would take a little break after a book before diving into the next one, but I pretty much set down Well of Ascension and picked up Hero of Ages and kept going because I needed to see what happened. But Elend, at the end of book 2, pretty much has a rebirth. He dies. He was not supposed to make it. The only reason he made it is because this mist creature thing told Vin what she needed to do to save him, which was the little bead that turned him now into a Mistborn. And it really is a rebirth. He is not the same guy in book 3 that he was in books 1 and 2. Book 3 starts with this really cool scene of Elend coming into this village, and he's just like, hello, I am your emperor. I am here to save you from this Koloss army. He doesn't say, he just says, I am here, we're doing what I say. They don't believe him at first, and he has to prove himself, but he proves himself quite capable. But his character arc is just so broad. He's such a different person. He is not the same guy that Vin met at her first dance with his nose in a book, except at their dance in book 3. And I know I mentioned this dance in my Vin video, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but it is different from Elend's perspective. Elend, being raised as a noble, probably spent most of his older teenage years, young adulthood, going to these balls and having all these experiences that Vin never had. But this dance in book 3 is different because this one is with his wife. They're also both Mistborn, so they can just dance so gracefully. And then he goes for the nostalgic moment, pulling out the book. And I just love that. It's just something that a normal human guy would do at a dance. I could see my husband doing that. And considering everything that's happened during their relationship, because, you know, they never really got to just have a normal relationship this whole time, I am so happy that they got to have this romantic moment together. They really needed it. A real life husband and wife need to take time out of their busy lives to have some romantic time together. And Vin and Elend need to take time from everything they have to do as well. And they are such a great team. They lead together, they fight together, and now we know they dance well together too. And Elend changes so much from book 1 to book 3. This transformation in his presence and in his physical appearance makes me think of the difference of John Krasinski playing Jim Halpert in The Office to John Krasinski playing John Silva in 13 Hours. Is that even the same guy? At this point, he has reached more than his full potential, more than he ever thought he could be. I highly doubt that brand new Emperor Elend, looking forward into book 3 and what he would become, would ever believe that about himself. And I have to say, I can sympathize with that sentiment, because if young Tiffany looked ahead to me and where I am in my life now, I don't think I would believe it either. Your life can go in so many ways you would never even imagine. And even though things have changed and he's such a different person, he is still a scholar. He still cares about the same things, but now he's the kind of guy who can actually accomplish all the things that he wanted to back in books 1 and 2. Because of his scholarly mind, he's the one who's able to figure out what's happening when the mists take over people. He's the one who can kind of do the math and go, oh, well, these people are having this happen to them, but it's this specific number. And it kind of clicks with him that, oh, maybe these are the ones that can burn atium, if that's how you say it. And so by solving that problem and figuring that out, and by becoming the man that he is now, he is able to literally save the world. He sacrifices his life for this. Which, when that happened, I knew there couldn't be another miraculous save because it already happened at the end of Well of Ascension, but gosh was I hoping that he would pull through somehow and he wouldn't die. And at this point, Vin doesn't have her physical form anymore. Elend is down. What's happening here? Did they really both just die? That's not how stories are supposed to end. My notes are poignant. So this story ends without its lord and lady. The Emperor has given his life to save his people's lives. And Elend becomes the man that he was probably always destined to be. The man his father never believed he could be, but Vin did. She always believed in him. He dies a hero. Wow. That is such a huge transformation and arc for a character to go through. Tell me what you think about that. Do you think Sanderson went too far with where he took Elend from his starting point to his ending point? Do you agree with letting Elend and Vin die at the end? What do you think of Elend? Let me know. Let's talk about him. Subscribe to my channel for more fantasy character studies. You can follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye!